get your biter rope, and I just make a loop around my hand like so. And then I take this Bight and I come up to the bottom, and then I'm gonna grab these two through this loop. So I just grab those two and I work this loop down around, and it's gonna look like something like that, which looks like a bowline, correct? And then you're just gonna kind of work it in. All right, I got my handy dandy tie station right here, and today we are going to learn bowline on a Bight. What's a bowline on a Bight? A bowline on a Bight is a bowline off what we call, this is a bight of rope. So if you need to tie a nice, secure, strong knot that's relatively easy to untie even after a bunch of load, bunch of tension on the rope. Of course, you can't untie it if the rope is in use, but after, you know, you've had thousands of pounds of tension on this knot, it's pretty easy to untie. Now, the only downside is it's not quite the easiest knot to tie, but that's what you're gonna learn here today. So a bowline on a Bight is exactly what it sounds like. A bowline with a bight of rope in the middle of a line. So if you need a nice secure loop in the middle of a line, you got some rigging going on, this rope goes a mile that way and a mile that way, but you need a nice, strong, secure loop in the middle of the line, you're gonna use a bowline on a Bight, and I'll show you how to tie it. So there are basically two ways to tie a bowline on a Bight. Now, this first way is how I have learned to tie it, and how I just tie it all the time because I'm so used to tying it this way. So take the bight of rope, and of course I'm gonna get up close, and tie it for you guys, show you step by step. But so I take the bight of rope, right? You get your bight of rope, and I just make a loop around my hand like so. And then I take this Bight and I come up to the bottom, and then I'm gonna grab these two through this loop. So I just grab those two and I work this loop down around, and it's gonna look like something like that, which looks like a bowline, correct? And then you're just gonna kind of work it in. And then you're gonna have a bowline on a Bight. So that's the first way to tie a bowline on a Bight. Now the other way that you can tie it is you tie an overhand loop like that. You take your bight of rope, you come up through the bottom, and then you're gonna grab these two right here. And then you're gonna, of course, bring this loop around the whole entire object, and then you work the knot in. And then you have a bowline on a Bight. So I'll show you both those ways up close. The way you know you have a bowline on a Bight is if you grab the two rope, the two ends coming out of the knot, and you pull on it this way, the knot does not cinch up, it doesn't come undone. That's how you know you have a bowline on a Bight. So that's the best way to check it. So you can tie the knot, pull it across, and if it stays intact like it is right now, then you have a bowline on a Bight tied correctly. So we'll show you that up close right now. All right, step one, take your bight of rope. This is how I tie it. You make a loop around your hand like so. I usually try to make these all straight, right? How they look right there. So once you have that, then you take your bight of rope, you come up through the bottom like so, and then you see these two right here. So I'm gonna stick my hand through the Bight and grab those two, and I'm gonna work that Bight down around the knot. And it's gonna look something like that. And then you see how it's still loose here, so I literally just work that in. And there you have a bowline on a Bight. So it looks like a regular bowline, you just have two ropes in there, correct? So that's the first way to tie it, or that's how I tie it. The second way, you have your bight of rope, correct? You're just gonna make an overhand loop like so, like that. And you're gonna take your Bight, come up to the bottom, and then you're gonna grab these two pieces with the Bight. Stick your hand down through it, grab it, and then you're gonna work the Bight down around like so, and then you're just gonna work it into place. And there you have a bowline on a Bight. And like, of course, you can check it by pulling on the two ends like so, and the knot doesn't come apart, it stays together. So there's your bowline on a Bight. Where would you use the bowline on a Bight in application? So I just have my rope tied. Let's say you got, you can use it. We use a lot of in rigging applications. I don't know, for whatever reason, you have line come down over the structure, you're pulling in some wire, and you need to be able to put a hoist, off your line to grab the whatever, or grip something, whatever, right? But you need a loop in the middle of your line, because this line goes 1,000 feet. You can't take the end of a loop, tie a bowline in it. It's just not gonna work. So you have the other end of the rope tied down to a truck or whatever the case may be. Maybe you're using a truck to pull in, to bring the line up to sag. So this is tied to a truck. You need a loop in the middle of the line, so you could put a carabiner and a grip, or many applications, maybe you use a hoist, whatever the case may be. That's tied. This goes on forever. I need a loop in the middle of the line. You just tie a bowline on a Bight. So take your bight of rope. I'm gonna tie it my way. And now I have my bolt on my Bight, so I have a nice secure loop in the middle of my line. I can check it, pull the two things right there. It doesn't come apart. Now I have a nice strong loop. Middle of my line, I can rig off it. Once I'm done using it, it comes undone very easy. I just wiggle that loose and the knot comes undone. So practice the bowline on a Bight. It's not the easiest one to tie, but I mean, once you get figured out, it's easy to tie. And personally, it's not, out of the other knots you need to know how to tie for the apprenticeship and things like that, this one is kind of up there in difficulty, but just like anything, take some time, practice it, figure it out, and become proficient, and hope you can learn the bowline on a Bight from this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy.